Welcome back everybody. As we know, last week we have learned about TOEIC reading test 1. That is what we call as a incomplete sentence. For this week, we will learn about the second part of the TOEIC test for reading. That is what we call as a error recognition and text completion. In this test, you have to complete the text presented in the test paper. So let's jump right into it.
We are on the second part of the reading, especially for TOEIC reading part 2, and that is reading for text completion. So in this case, we will talk about reading, especially text completion, in the form of a cloze test. So you will have a list of words or a list of paragraph that is missing in that part, and then you have to add the missing words by choosing the options. So let's just jump right into it. So the first part of the reading for the text completion, so we will talk about the learning objectives itself. That is, in this case, we will still talk about grammar and syntax, and then vocabulary, and then word, phrase, or sentences, but it is not as many as what we have learned previously. So the first part would be the tenses itself. So here are the tenses, especially for the 16 tenses. The list of the tenses are included over here, but I won't explain it one by one since it will really take our time. So you can just pause this one and understand it one by one for the tenses itself. Okay, try to understand it by yourself since it will needs a lot of time to explain the 16 of them. And the next thing would be modal auxiliaries. So in this case, what is actually modals? Modals uh, are used to give the verbs extra meaning, and how do you use modals is just like this one. So modal is always followed by the verb one. So for example, we can play football today, or we may play football today. Here are the list of the modals itself. So for the modules can, it shows the ability or a permission. So for instance, he can type 100 words per minute, or even permission, you can leave the class after it's over. And then could, this is similar with the would and may. It shows the possibility she could be late because of the traffic. And then will, this is for the future. So you can predict something by using will as a model. For instance, I'm sure they will get the money, or I'm sure we will have an A score for this subject. The next thing is would. It shows the intensity. For instance, he promised he would pick her up on time. So it shows the intensity of someone. The next part would be may. Uh, After it shows the possibility, just like would and could, it also shows permission. For instance, you may leave the class early. This is also similar with the can. Might is similar with may and would and could. Uh, Shall is similar with will, but it also offers a suggestion. For instance, shall we meet tomorrow to discuss the project, or even shall we go to the cafe tomorrow afternoon? That is also okay. But pay attention that shall is used for a formal occasion only. And then for the should itself, it shows the advice, suggestion, or a good idea. For instance, you should check the books again. And it also shows expectation. The example is, since she works so hard, she should get promoted soon. Or the next part would be ought to. This is also the same with should. And then the last one would be must. In this case, we can also talk about must in wajib Indonesia. So it shows the necessity. The bookkeeper must finish doing the payroll by Thursday, or logical conclusion. Or it draws the conclusion or kesimpulan in Indonesia. It must be very stressful in this pandemic situation. And the next part will be the practice test itself for the model auxiliaries. Try to finish this one in only 10 seconds. Let's just pause the video and try to guess the answers of the following practice tests. I will give you 10 seconds. Okay, finish guys. So let's take a look on the first one. What are the keywords? Here are the keywords. Number one, is there a chance for you, blah blah blah, lose your job this winter? The answer would be might. Why is it not can or should or must? Because might shows the possibility. Let's go to the previous slides. Nah, you can choose it over here, possibility. You cannot use can since it shows the ability, but you can use could. But it is not presented in the options itself. So the answer would be B. And then number two, the office blah 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 closed on the day before the holiday. It depends how busy we are next week. Nah, they're talking about the future. Next week are the conditions over here. So what is your answer? Okay, the answer would be will. So since it shows the future itself. Okay, got it everyone? Do you understand? If so, then we will move on to the next part. And that is what we call as superlative and comparative forms. So comparative form is used to compare two things. Superlative compared to three or more things and showing the highest degree. The example would be this one. Now, take a look on this kind of picture. The first one is shorter than, for instance, this is A and this is B. B is shorter than A. Or you can also talk about B is the shortest since it shows the highest degree. Now, if it is one syllable, we can just add ER or EST just like this one. But if it is two or more than two syllables, for instance modern, you should add more or most. More or most, more or most. And then for the ending by using Y, you should change it into I and ER. For instance, happy to happier or happiest, and then easy to easier and easiest, scary to scarier and scariest. And then these are the irregular verb. For the irregular verb, you cannot just guess it. You should really understand the form. For instance, good to better and then best, bad to worse and worse. Pay attention to on the explanation for the comparative and superlative. I am short by my mother is shorter than me. So always add than after comparing two nouns over here. Meanwhile, for the superlative itself, you should add the largest, the most boring, the dirtiest, and the best. You cannot just add most boring, dirtiest, best, or largest. That is wrong, everybody. Pay attention. I will try to remember you one more time. If it is comparison, try to add then. Yeah, even though that is more modern, then it is always comparison. using then. Meanwhile, for the superlative, you should add the. Okay, I guess you have already known the following materials for the comparative and superlative. So let's just jump to the next practice test. As usual, I will try to pause the video. I will give you time to pause the video for 10 seconds and then I will reveal the keywords. Okay, finished guys. So here are the keywords. This one, the T, it should be the busiest, but yeah, I guess it is covered by the voice over here. So the first one would be more interesting because this is the comparison. Our new handbook is more interesting than our old one. The first noun and the second noun. So it used the comparison. Meanwhile, why we don't use interestinger? Because it has more than 2 syllables. For instance, interesting. We have 4 syllables over here, so we cannot use using er. So you should answer it using more interesting. Meanwhile, for this one, this is clear. Please don't call us between noon and 1. That is blah 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 time of the day. The answer would be the busiest. Why is it not C? Because it misses D over here. Yeah. Do you understand? I believe that you understand this method. So let's move on to the next part. Yeah, it shows the IELTS degree. Move on to the next part. That is the present and past participles for the verbal adjective. This is quite hard to handle, so pay attention, really pay attention to this part. So actually, present and past participles are the verb that is changed into adjectives just by adding suffix ing in that word. For instance, burn over here is the verb, but if we add burning, so it will turn into adjective. Same thing goes with the bored. Bored would be the verb version of the word. Meanwhile, for the boring, it would be changed into adjective. For instance, take a look on the word over here, burning food. It means that it is a makanan yang terbakar in Indonesia, or a frightening movie. A frightening movie means film yang menakutkan. If you just add frighten over here, this is the verb. This is not an adjective. As we know that adjective explains the noun itself. Burning food, frightening movie, interesting handphones or interesting smartphones, or interesting books, that is also okay. And then the next would be past participle. The difference would be adding ed over here. Meanwhile, for this one is ing, and this one is ed, and then ed over here. What is the difference between present participle and past participle, everybody? So take a look over here. So present participle, it is used for the active form of a verb or active form of a noun. Meanwhile, for the past participle, the adjective function as a passive, or the noun receives something and then noun does something. Yeah, take a look over here. The burnt food, berarti makanan yang dibakar. Meanwhile, this one, yeah, this one burning food, membakar makanan. That is the difference. As usual, we have two kinds of past participles over here, just like the verb 2 and verb 3. If the verb is regular, we can just add d or ed. And if it is ended with ay, we can turn it into I and then add D, just like the previous one. Happy to happier, but we cannot change it into habit because that is adjective. The example over here is pay. Pay is changed into paid. The next one would be the verb that is irregular. This is see, saw, seen, and then what are the others? For instance, mm, good, bad, worse, or even the verb itself would be bring, brought, or buy and bought. Okay, go on to the next part. That is the practice test of the past participles. I will give you 10 seconds to do it, starting from now. Okay, finish everybody. What are your answers? Here are the list of the answers. Nah, why the answer of number one is C? Yeah, this is C because did you hear the surprising news? It means that in Indonesia we can change this one into apakah kamu mendengar berita yang mengagetkan itu? So it change into active. Yeah, into active verb. Meanwhile, for the second one, the answer will be torn. Why is it so? Because this is in the form of a passive. I found this torn piece of paper on your desk. Why did you destroy the document? I found this torn piece of paper on your desk. Why did you destroy the document? In this case, if I translated Indonesia, saya menemukan kertas yang disobek ini di mejamu. Mengapa kau menyobeknya? This is the answer. So let's continue to the next part. The next part would be context or test strategies. So whenever you are in the middle of the test, you should have your own strategies by guessing the word meaning or arti kata. So you should really think that which one of the options that fit or suitable with the following sentences over here. Mr. Green is earning more money at his new job. He is very happy to be earning a higher blah blah blah. The suitable option for this one would be salary. And then the second part would be the part of speech, or it can be also translated into kata yang cocok. In this case, you should really pay attention to the word itself, whether it should be adjective or it should be noun or others. Meanwhile, over here we have adverbs over here, so we should follow this one with the adjective, so the answer would be efficient. The continuous part would be pronoun or kata ganti. In this case, you should really pay attention on the pronouns of the sentences. For instance, this is the example of the pronoun. For example, my brother and I started this company while blah 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 were still in school. So it should be changed with what is it, everyone? Okay, good. You should change it using we. Why? Because the subject itself showing that it has two persons over here or two people over here. The last part would be this verb tense or tenses. So the verb itself should match the time of the context of the passage. Every time you look after the tenses over here, always look for the time signal. Which one is the time signal? Not this one, but this. Yeah, we blah 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 it tomorrow. So if it is tomorrow, then it shows the future. So the answer would be yes, will. Nah, so let's just continue to the practice test. As always, I will give you 10 seconds to do this one and then pause your video. Okay, here are the keywords. The number one would be C. Why is it C? Since it should be following the word meaning or arti kata. If we translate this one, ruangan kerja kita saat ini kurang nyaman bagi staf atau karyawan. Ruangan ini terlalu bla 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 and crowded dan sangat rame. Nah, in this case, you should really think before you answering the option, looking at the previous and the after the blanks over here. Too means terlalu, and then crowded means rame. Meanwhile, we have the connector as n over here. So if it is n, it should be positive, and this one positive, and then this one if it is negative, and then the second part would be also negative. Now, crowded over here is already negative, so which one is the answer? Okay, small, good. Meanwhile, for number 2, more people than we expected are coming to the banquet. We are not sure if the dining room can hold such a large. What is it? More people than we expected are coming to the banquet. Ternyata orang yang datang lebih banyak daripada yang kita kira. We are not sure if the dining room, kita belum yakin kalau ruangannya akan cukup untuk mengisi, what is it? Can hold such a large menu. Nah, menu over here can be translated as makanan. Nah, so the dining room does not fit for the menu itself karena mungkin dining roomnya terlalu kecil ya. So that's it, how you deal with the context. So always pay attention on the meaning and then other stuff that is related to the context itself. Always look for the meaning, part of speech, tenses, and others. For the next part would be the grammar and vocabulary test. Over here, I will show you just a simple explanation using its own couples. Take a look over here. Concerned, excited, happy, and worried. It should be followed by about. You cannot use it using for or in or of. So the list of the tables over here are already clear. And then interested should be in. You cannot use interested using of, and then afraid of, capable of, and proud of, and tired of. Now in this case, you should really pay attention that everything over here are already set in the English language. Jadi tidak bisa dipisahkan. Ini sudah berpasangan. The second part would be the prefix un. Every time you add un in the adjective, it means not. For example, happy turns into unhappy, and the meaning would be not happy. Able, unable, not able, and then others. So I guess this is quite easy for you. So let's go to the practice test. As usual, I will give you 10 seconds to do it and then pause the video. Okay, finish. Take a look at the keywords over here. As usual, the first part is worried. Worried should be followed by, take a look over here. It should be followed by about. Meanwhile, for the number 2, the report is ready, blah blah blah, printing. So what is the followings of ready? Take a look over here, everyone. Ready should be fitting with the for. The answer would be A. Got it? Okay, let's go to the last part of this reading for the text completion. In this case, relative pronouns introduce the relative clauses or kata ganti. The most relative common pronouns are who, whom, whose, which, and that. the meaning of the following relative pronoun is Indonesia is yang. Okay, the first one, the usage of who, so it change or it replaces people as a subject. For instance, take a look over here. The person bakes a cake for me. He is my good friend. So before we combine it into one sentences, here are the previous uh, sentences or the original sentences. Meanwhile, if we combine it into one sentence, so we omit he over here, so the result would be the person who bakes the cake for me is my good friend. So we just delete this one, and then after person, after the subject itself, we have to add who. Okay, got it? Second part would be also whom. Whom is also for people, but it is used as an object, and it is often used with preposition. For example, the example would be that is the woman, full stop. I met her yesterday. So here are before the combined sentences or the original sentences into sentences. Meanwhile, if we add it into the next part, it becomes that is the woman whom I met yesterday. So we omit her over here. Take a look on the who over here. Uh, we deleted he. Over here we deleted her as an object. So I stay as a combination of the words. That is the woman whom I met yesterday. Next part would be which are used, which relative pronoun is used for animals and things. I guess it's already clear. For example, the table is made of oak wood, it has broken. The table, which is made of oak wood, has broken. This is similar with who, but it is used for animals and things. The last part is whose. This is used for possessive meaning atau kepemilikan Indonesia. The example would be, I have already talked to the girl. Full stop. Her shirt is pink. Uh, Pay attention that we don't delete the her, only her over here, because her shirt means bajunya. So it relates to the possessive nouns to girl. So how do we combine it? We combine it just like this one. I have already talked to the girl whose shirt is pink. So this is different with who, but whose means you should delete the possessive itself. Jadi kepemilikannya yang dihilangkan. Okay, here are the last part of our practice test for the text completion. As usual, I will give you 10 seconds to do the practice test. Try to pause the video first. Okay, finish ya. So here are the keywords. The first one, Matthew is the man, blah blah blah, I am waiting. The answer will be with D. Why is it D? Pay attention. The original sentences would be this. Matthew is the man. Full stop. I am waiting for him. So we change the him over here using whom. Since this is the object, I guess I miss for over here, but it is also okay. The second part would be Sally married to a man, blah blah blah, father is a president of USA. So pay attention that we should delete the possessive for the man itself. It should be Sally married to a man, full stop. His father is a president of a USA. So we just change it into this one. Sally married to a man whose father is a president of a USA. Why is it so? Because his father over here refer to a man. Jadi ayahnya. So we should use whose. Okay. So I guess that's it, everyone. Thank you for listening to my explanation in this video on YouTube. As always, I will always pray for you for your own safety, for your own healthy, and always stay safe. Wash your hands. We will be dealing with the new normal in the next yeah, in the next couple of months. So I guess I have nothing but praying for your health. Thank you. So I will see you again next week. Try to finish the practice test on LMS or Google Form that we have presented by Bu Atiqah and myself. I will see you again next week for the last part of the reading. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video, everybody. So try to finish the task on the LMS that I have presented to you the link. Finish all of the questions presented over there, and then I will see you again next week for the last part of reading. See you again.